will give Americans their freedom back. President Trump slammed the idea Sunday.
It really seems to have been developed for two parties. Third parties have never worked, so he can have fun with it, but I think it's ridiculous.
A black pastor believes race played a role in a recent traffic stop in Polk County, Florida. Pastor Dontavius Sanders was pulled over for a tag light being out and dark tint on his windows. Sanders said he was okay with the tag light issue, but says the officer who pulled him over escalated the situation and even used a canine to search his car. Nothing was found. Sanders was not ticketed. And Drake released a new single addressing the backlash from his beef with Kendrick Lamar. The single is called What Did I Miss? Get BIN News now on demand, 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
New Orleans. Good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer, Nyron Sanders, and my co-host, Will Sutton.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, New Orleans.
It is Monday. It is a new week. Essence Fest was this week, and we're going to get into all things Essence Fest at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. We'll hear from one of the executives from Essence as it relates to all of the feedback and the experience over the weekend. So I guess I'll save my questions and my comments for the top of the 8 o'clock hour because I was there and you know, saw some things, saw some people. But the highlight for me, aside from it being one of my good friend's birthday celebration, the highlight for me was getting to not only see but interview the Sheryl Swoopes. If you don't know Sheryl Swoopes, then allow me to introduce you to her. She is the first woman to sign with the WNBA. She is a Hall of Famer and NCAA champion, WNBA champion. If it's an award out there, she has it. And she has the the trailblazing legendary status of being the very first woman to sign to the WNBA. Sheryl Swoopes' poster was on my wall as a young girl when I was living in the Fisher Project. I got to tell her that as well. So that was the entire highlight of my weekend, full stop there. Only to find out, I got a text this morning. Shout out to Kimber White Dupree. I got a text this morning letting me know that Sheryl Swoopes is now my soror. She's an honorary member of the illustrious Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated as of July 5th, 2025. So I am excited about that. So I think that's where the new soror. So it was quite the experience to talk to her because, you know, there's this saying that you know, be careful meeting your idols because you know, more often than not, you'll realize they're just regular people too. And it kind of takes the shine off of it. But she was everything in that moment, the same way she was everything when she was hanging on my wall on the poster in the Fisher Project. So listen, shout out to the one and only, the legendary, the trailblazing Sheryl, first woman to ever sign to the WNBA Swoopes. I had a time. And so, yeah, that was the highlight for me. Did you get to go to Essence?
Yeah, I got over to Essence. I'm a daytime person.
Okay.
I'm not a nighttime person. My wife went out some of the night concert activities, including a very late one So I was deep asleep, and I had no idea she was getting into bed sometime after 4 a.m. Because things went so late. But I got over to the Essence Festival daytime and went to some outside events. Went to some things that were Essence and I'll say Essence adjacent. And the Essence Festival daytime was it was really nice. I mean, there were a lot of vendors there. The programming was pretty good. I loved seeing that Ketanji Jackson, Supreme Court Justice, was there. Some interesting panel discussions. I wish I knew more about the schedule before it started. And that was one of the complaints and concerns that I heard. As you all know, I'm a columnist with the Times-Picayune, NOLA.com. So I wrote about this and wrote about some of the concerns and all. And it's not just a few people. It's not just a few people. There are a lot of folks who have concerns, disappointments. Some of those are local vendors, business people. On the other hand, I talked to somebody just yesterday who described their Essence experience as a business person as the Super Bowl for his operation. So he does that well, despite other people being slow or not doing as well. But there is it's more than an undercurrent of folks wondering and asking questions about Essence and the Super Lounge experience, the amount of time to wait in between acts, the level of corporate sponsorship exposure. In some cases, people feeling like it overtook the acts themselves, and the vibe inside the convention center was pretty good overall. There were definitely some cleanup things that I saw. With it was a lot easier to walk in there with more space on that first level, so that was good. And there was a lot of Black beauty and culture in the place. I think what, and I wrote about this, so if you all want to take a look at NOLA.com, I think what we're looking at this point is whose culture and how. And in this case, it's not that it's not about Black culture. Essence Festival is all about Black culture. But this is New Orleans. And as y'all know, New Orleans Black culture is something special. Not the same as Atlanta, New York, Chicago. It's something special.
Well, Jeff Thomas over at Black Source Media also wrote about Essence Fest. It is entitled, "Is Essence Losing Its Culture Edge? Corporate Takeover and DI Rollbacks Stir Backlash." There's a lot to be talked about. I do know that the person who heads the Essence Ventures will join us at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. But one of the comments under the article written by Jeff Thomas says that they are a white-owned company. What did y'all think was going to happen? Can you spell sellout? So when I read that comment, I looked to see if Essence is Black-owned. It says, yes, Essence Festival is Black-owned. It is owned by Essence Ventures, an independent African-American-owned company. Essence Ventures also owns Essence Magazine, which is known for its focus on Black women's culture and lifestyle. So I think we have to be very, very careful. You can be upset. You can have feedback, but let's make certain that the energy that we're putting out aligns with some truth. And so when I read that statement, I just went straight and just Googled it literally. And that's the answer it gave me. But the article talks about many of the issues that folk were having, with the biggest issue being that Target is one of the sponsors for the Essence Fest. And so it is my understanding, looking into this story, that Essence and Target are on a multi-year deal. My question, one of the questions I have, even if you're in a multi-year deal, if one of the actors in the deal is doing something that could possibly affect the other person in the deal, is there some sort of morals clause? Is there some sort of clause that would warrant you being able to pull from the deal without harming your company? That's one of the questions I have, because Target had to know, and I will go off on a limb and say Essence had to know that Target's actions to roll back their diversity, equity, and inclusion will have some blowback on the Essence Fest itself. And while I understand that we're in a multi-year deal, what happens when one of the parties to the deal acts outside of the boundaries of what is either ethical, legal, morally correct? Like, I'm that's a question I have. I've never been in a multi-year deal with anyone or anything. I've never even been married, so that's, to me, is a multi-year deal. But listen, I don't know. But the article says, is Essence losing its culture? Every July, New Orleans becomes the epicenter of Black joy. More than just a party, the Essence Festival of Culture is a celebration of resilience, brilliance, and community. For decades, Essence Fest stood as a powerful symbol of Black womanhood, music, business, and freedom. But this year, something felt different, and now people are starting to ask, is Essence Festival losing its cultural edge? Now, the article also goes on to say that Target is facing a nationwide Black-led boycott. After championing diversity in 2020, the company has since quietly dismantled its DEI programs. Well, that's according to Jeff Thomas, because Jeff, I don't think they quietly did anything. I think they said it with their entire chest, which is why I'm having a hard time understanding how this sort of pushback wasn't we couldn't see it coming. I saw it coming. They said it remains a top-tier sport. Jeff says it remains a top-tier sponsor of a festival that claims to celebrate Black excellence. The contradiction hasn't gone unnoticed. Well, I was able to see a number of vendors pull out. Tamika Mallory made a public statement. Tamika Mallory is from Until Freedom. She's one of the integral parts of the Black-led boycott. I just don't know how we did not see this one coming. And again, I think one of the main questions would be, because I had that same energy for Tabitha Brown when she came. I felt like she was trying to untee us when she was talking about her products being inside of Target, and the loss that she would undoubtedly take if she had to pull it from the shelves. But my pushback on that was, in order to actually have sustainable gains, you have to have some level of sacrifice. Now, you do with that what you will, but folk have a right to have a response when they feel as if we're supposed to be doing this thing. To me, it feels tantamount to crossing a picket line. That's how I looked at it. That's how it felt. Mm-hmm. And I think this is going to take some conversation, community conversation. Anybody who knows me, when I say community is a kitchen table conversation, I think it's going to take a lot of that to better understand, because nobody understands multi-level deal. All they know is there's a boycott going on, and the people we're actually boycotting is a main sponsor of the biggest, blackest event in the biggest, blackest, smallest, biggest, blackest city in the world, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, there's a level of culture here that you can't replicate. And whether New Orleans wants to accept it or not, the city of New Orleans is in that conversation as well, in terms of there's a huge boycott going on. There's a huge event going on that is, founded in Blackness, and so many people turned away from it because of this partnership with Target. There's even a group, I don't know who this group is, but I don't like the fact that they didn't spell exhibit right, but that's the teacher in me. Because, if we're going to print these big, bold signs, we can at least spell check. I'm just saying, it aggravated my spirit that it wasn't done correctly. That's like when what is that tour that just came here? State of the People.
Yes.
They spelled Louisiana wrong. Like
Yep.
I could not.
Right.
I could not even pay attention to the messaging because I kept staring at the word Louisiana not spelled properly, and so it just bothered my spirit.
Multi-use signage, so that went from city to city.
Yeah, well, and that's what's bothering me because this sign right here says "Love Essence, boycott Target." How do you do one? How do you love something while boycotting something that is actually in partnership with the something that you love?
Mm-hmm.
How does that happen? And I think that's a part of the conversation that has to happen. The sign says, "Do not stop at the Target exhibit." I mean, you don't have to stop at the exhibit. They're a partner. So, I mean, I don't know if they know how partnerships work or sponsorships work, but and one of the comments that I heard in this whole conversation was that Target spent money with Essence to be a sponsor. Yeah, I get that, but now Target is costing Essence money because they're a sponsor. So how does that work? You know, was the risk worth the reward? I guess.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it cost them money because
You don't know if it cost them money?
no, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if it cost them money. I certainly know that it had negative cultural impact. For sure.
Well, I would say well. Let's start with, did it cost New Orleans money? Well, let's start there since we don't know if it cost Target money because cost Essence money, because I would say the ticket sales were down.
Yes.
The hotel bookings were down. I mean, I can just look at the number of people I saw walking them in the street, that the people were not here in droves as they normally would. So who did it cost money to? Just the city of New Orleans? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying I don't know the economic impact on Essence, and that's something that we can ask Mr. Dennis. I had the I wasn't planning to write about this, and day after day, the drumbeat just got louder and louder. And I decided I needed to weigh in on this, so I wrote something, and so on NOLA.com. So I had the opportunity to talk to Mr. Retchelu Dennis on Saturday afternoon at Essence Fest, and my column posted on Sunday. So he has answers for actually each of these questions. We may not agree with his answers, but he has answers, and everybody should be understanding what's about to happen. Mr. Dennis is a billionaire. He was a billionaire before getting Essence Ventures and Essence Festival. He's a really smart guy. He knows a lot about business. He does not live here. Most of the team does not live here. So they're not in and of New Orleans. And he does not do public interviews. So this is a rare opportunity for him to come to this Black Talk radio station and talk about what we're already talking about. So we'll have a chance to talk about it with Mr. Retchelu Dennis right here at WBOK.
Well, according to Jeff Thomas over at Black Source Media, it says if corporations can ditch DEI on Monday and still sponsor a Black festival on Friday, what does that say about their commitment? More importantly, what does it say about ours? That's a really good question, Jeff, and I hope we can dive into conversation about it. I like that question. We have to go to break, but when we come back, we'll continue to talk about the things that you enjoy listening to right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. Singer and producer will.i.am is launching what he thinks could be the next generation of radio, and he's using AI to do it. It's called Radio FYI. He talked to Bloomberg about the inspiration behind the project.
People still listen to radio, and radio hasn't been innovated since satellite radio. And so now with our architecture, we're able to allow the listener to engage with the presentation. It's no longer a one-way street or sometimes half a street when you're able to call into a station. This radio architecture allows for 1 to millions of conversations at the same time during the same segment.
will.i.am also says his AI-powered plan will be totally different from streaming platforms like Spotify, even though many of them now have radio station-style features. Radio FYI will be designed to offer listeners a sense of community, something he thinks there's still a need for. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you don't just want a low price, you want the lowest price. And with our lowest price guarantee, you can count on us for competitive prices on all your home improvement projects. If you find a qualifying lower price somewhere else on the same item, we'll match it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Price match applies the same item, current price at qualifying retailers. Exclusions and terms apply. Learn how we'll match price at lowes.com/lowest price guarantee.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
Seems like back to school happens earlier each year.
First day of school coming in hot.
And this year, my kids had massive supply lists.
Folders, notebooks, and pens. Oh, the humanity.
But Staples had everything I needed, with some items just 25 cents.
Watch the small print.
No. My back to school budget was saved by Staples Easy Button.
Everything for school, in stock and as low as 25 cents. Staples.
That was easy.
In-store, online, and on the app. NC 23 while supplies last.
Hey, everybody, it's Graylin Bryant Banks.
And Kimber White Dupree.
From the front porch, y'all. You know how we do. Every Monday is Moving Monday.
And Tuesday is Trivia Tuesday.
And y'all know we have nothing but bad cheering coming through here on Wednesday.
But stick with us. On Thursday, we travel.
That's right. And Friday's Free Your Mind Friday, so get your brass up.
Something on your mind? Want to get it off your chest?
Holla at your people. WBOK 1230 AM, the station you listen to.
All day long.
Connect with NOLA Public Schools. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X for the latest updates. Sign up for District Digest, our official newsletter where we share district achievements, celebrate student successes, and keep you informed about our vision of providing a high-quality education. And don't miss our school board meetings. Watch in person or live stream on YouTube. Stay informed, stay engaged. Visit NOLAPublicSchools.com today. Again, that's NOLAPublicSchools.com.
Hey, New Orleans, look for important changes to your natural gas service. This summer, Delta Utilities takes over for Entergy Gas with a Louisiana-born, Louisiana-based approach to safe, clean, reliable natural gas. No interruptions or rate changes due to the transition, just dependable service and modernized technology to keep you running smoothly. Get to know us at deltautilities.com and stay tuned for more later this summer. Delta Utilities, focused on natural gas, committed to New Orleans.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Happy Monday, everyone. If you're just joining a conversation, we're talking all things Essence Fest at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. We'll hear from Mr. Richard Lou Dennis as it relates to Essence, New Orleans, and the road ahead. Hopefully, all of the burning questions you may have, and if you want to call in, the number is 504-582-9422. Hopefully, all of those questions you may have, you've heard us espouse at the top of the hour will be answered when we talk to Mr. Dennis, who I'm now understanding doesn't do public interviews. So this is special, I assume. So we'll talk to him, get all of our questions answered. But right now there's a whole bunch of things going on in the state of Louisiana that you also should be aware of. If you don't know, this is a very exciting week as it relates to elections in the city of New Orleans. This is qualifying week. Qualifying starts on the 9th.
Yep.
And it ends on the 11th. And so if you are considering a run for office for the mayoral seat, the city council seat, assessor seat, the coroner seat, the civil and criminal clerk of court seats, this is your week, baby. This is your time to shine. And so Qualifying starts on July 9th. Qualifying ends July 11th. I'm excited to see how the field will shape up because I do not think that we know everybody who has decided that they're going to run for office. And please buckle up your seatbelt, ladies and gentlemen, because there are going to be people who qualify who have no interest in running for office. Did you know that happens? Yes, it does. People are going to qualify. They're going to spend a couple $100 and hopefully make a couple $1,000. You know what I mean? It's a hustle. And so be prepared for the hustlers to enter the conversation. We do know as of last week? Senator Royce Duplessis entered the mayoral race. Last week. Which makes the field a bit crowded already. We have Senator Royce Duplessis. We have Councilwoman Helena Moreno. We have Councilman Oliver Thomas.
And former criminal court judge Arthur Hunter.
And those are just the front runners, but there are several other candidates who have put themselves up to vie for the mayoral seat. One of them being Miss Renata Collins. Mr. Twiggs, what is his first name? Is it Mark?
Ricky.
Oh, Ricky. Ricky Twiggs, and there's someone else, Scurlock.
Matter of fact, he's already started advertising. He just announced last week.
Well, he already had a billboard up before he announced because I was driving across the bridge and I saw it and I Googled his name because I'm like, I've heard that name before. And yes, he ran once before in 2017.
Yep.
And so, if I neglected to say anybody's name who have put themselves up for the mayoral seat, blame my head and not my heart because I'm going straight off memory here of what I've been seeing at forums and people's whose signage I've been seeing because seems like almost everybody in the race has signage already. So, I mean,
of some kind.
I mean, because even announcing as late as last week, Senator Royce Duplessis also had signage at his campaign launch announcement, and so it's getting real interesting around these parts. I've not heard if there's a contender for Leslie Harris's council seat. I've not heard that because I know I said it seems like everybody has a contender to their seat, but I've not heard anyone running for that particular council seat. Councilman Joe Russo's seat is an open seat, so there are a number of challengers for vying for that seat because there's no incumbent to fight because he is not running for any office that I'm aware of.
No, he's not.
As he's going to step away from his term limited council seat. But it is my understanding that aside from Councilwoman Leslie Harris's seat, every person thus far for the council has a challenger to the seat.
And at this point, Council District E is presumed open because Oliver Thomas is running for mayor. Maybe that could change. He could say I'm saying, but at this point, there are multiple candidates running for that seat.
Well, yeah, and I don't think any of those candidates are new. Not the ones I've heard.
Yeah, right.
All of those names are names we've heard in politics in one shape, form, or fashion. Jason Hughes is vying for Oliver Thomas's current council seat. So is Cindy Wynn. Former Councilwoman Cindy Wynn is also running again for Oliver Thomas' current council seat.
Her former seat.
Councilman Eugene Green has a number of challengers for his city council seat as well. I know Belden Nunaman Baptiste is running for Council District D. So
Eugene
is Kevin
Green
Griffin
seat.
Clark running for that seat. There's another one. It's her name. It's like a Hawaiian name. It's Helani, I think is her name.
Yes.
Or Heno, Leilani Heno or something to that effect. I'm sorry if I got the first name wrong, but I know her last name is Heno. She's also vying for the D seat, I believe. So there are a number of challengers. I heard as of last week, Freddie King has Councilman Freddie King has someone or two someones vying for his seat. I do not know the names off the top of my head because I just heard this last week. Vying for that particular seat. Again, I think everybody has a challenger as it stands outside of Councilwoman Leslie Harris. And we do also
which is B.
want to once again offer our deepest condolences. I know she's dealing with some tragedy within her family, so we've not been able to get her because we've been wanting to engage in conversation with her about council business. But we want to make certain that she knows our hearts and prayers go out to her as she navigates this difficult time. We do have a caller on line one. Good morning, Don. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. Are you there? Can you turn him up, please? Don? Turn the volume up. Don, are you there? Don, if you could hear my voice, please give us a call back, 504-582-9422. We would love to hear your perspective as to what is going on with the conversation that we're having. So again, listen, qualifying is July 9th to July 11th. Please look into all of the seats that are up. We are also hearing that there could potentially be some judgeships up. I've not heard any confirmation on that, but I'm hearing that there may possibly be a few judgeships on the ballot. But as it stands right now, the mayoral seat is on the ballot, city council seat, all of the seats, including the at-large seats, the civil and criminal clerk of court seats, the assessor seat, and the coroner seat, and potentially some judgeships may also be up on the ballot. So we'll absolutely keep you posted. But what I absolutely need you guys to do is to make certain that you are registered to vote. Go to the Secretary of State's office or the GoVote app and check your voter registration status. It is not enough to make certain that you're registered to vote. Once you are registered, please make a commitment to go out and vote. Take 4 or 5 people to the polls with you. This is a very pivotal, key election cycle that is getting ready to take place. Early voting starts in September. It will end the first week of October, and Election Day is October 11th. So please make certain that you are aware of what is happening as it relates to your democratic responsibility in the city of New Orleans. And I watch the news, read the articles, so you don't have to. Louisiana's ethic laws for public officials, they're changing. And some people are saying it's contentious. I don't think the ethics laws are tight enough, apparently. We got a president receiving a $1 billion plane from a foreign country. Like, I don't think ethics is tight enough, in my opinion. But let's talk about it. Governor Jeff Landry and the legislature have changed how the Louisiana Board of Ethics operates, adding new rules to how it investigates allegations of conflicts of interest, nepotism, and other forms of corruption. Their very favorite parts of violating ethics: nepotism and conflicts of interest. Supporters say they are protecting public servants against frivolous investigations over dubious allegations of ethical misconduct, ensuring those who face investigation are afforded basic due process. Is that what you're trying to do? Because I have an attorney friend of mine that I know didn't really get any real due process, but it's neither here nor there. But critics worry the new laws chip away at safeguards Louisiana put in place in response to the state's long history of government corruption. I think it's more the latter. At its monthly meeting Thursday, 2 members of the Louisiana Board of Ethics raised concerns that the changes could undermine the board's power and independence. The name is Kosia Roberts. Sorry if I said that wrong. The longest serving member argued they will quickly render the ethics board non-essential and ultimately lead it to become extinct. The new rules could deter people from coming forward with complaints, leaving the board in the dark about problems it would otherwise address. The Board of Ethics enforces ethics and campaign finance laws. It could undertake investigation into potential violations in either area, as well as file formal charges against someone when it's evidence a law was broken. The Public Affairs Research Council of Louisiana also argues the new laws continue to whittle away at sunshine in government. We do know what sunshine laws are there for. However, the changes did avoid severe damage to our ethics code, said PAR President Stephen Procopio, who said lawmakers heeded many of his organization's concerns and recommendations. Well, there's House Bill 674 that is on the table, which changed the ethics code. Rep. Bo Ballou, a Republican from New Iberia who chairs the influential House and Governmental Affairs Committee, sponsored the bill. He has said some of the board's investigations have been egregious and led some under investigation to feel they were guilty until proven innocent. He said he committed to ensuring greater fairness and due process for Louisiana citizens who continue to find themselves subject to ethics board's investigations. What does this all mean, Will Sutton? Because if this is a board that is supposed to ensure that our governmental officials are first and foremost afforded due process, I think that's the basis of any law. Anybody should have access to due process.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not certain why that is like a banner that they're waving, because to me, if a person isn't afforded due process, is it even legal? I mean, let's just be clear here. I mean, that's like ground zero in terms of legality. So they're saying they want folks to be afforded basic due process, but the folk who are pushing back are also saying that this could render the board obsolete and strip it of its powers to hold governmental officials accountable should they breach ethics. So what?
Yeah. So those of us who are parents, your kid is your kid. As long as your kid's living at your house, here are the rules. Now, the rules may change based on the age and maturity of those kids growing up. And you occasionally might say, what do you think I should do in light of what you have done, because you're going to be punished? What do you should do? But that is not like the everyday thing. You are not going to put people who are responsible for being judged, going through this process, and ask them what to do. And what we have here is politicians, the governor in particular, making new rules about how this should go. And he's already got ethical violation charge allegations. So I want to change the rules on how you judge me. And therefore, while we're at it, let's change the rules for how we're going to judge other people. So that is definitely damaging the confidence that the public would have in the Louisiana Board of Ethics.
I wonder who that sounds like. I mean, that sounds like a person. Can we find the name of the person? Who does that sound like? We gonna change the ways of how you govern me. That is weird. Good morning, Don. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
I can. How are you?
Hey, Dr. White. Good morning.
Good morning.
I tried to, Mr. Sutton, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Read your article on Essence Festival, what your thoughts are, and that's very profound, very insightful. I appreciate your article.
All right. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. I've been wanting to ask this question since last week. I know the holiday through the scheduling and all. About the issue with the summer camps and it's a long business. It's along the issue of how we conduct business. And my concern was when I heard they said that Lee Anderson was over something. He's supposed to have been sponsoring these youth camps, and 3 entities entered into an agreement. And now they're saying that they're unable to pay their employees. I don't think that's ethical in the sense that if I work for you, okay, I'm an employee, or I don't know what their status is, employee or independent contractors. But if I work for you, you're obligated to compensate me when scheduled. You can't say, well, I didn't get paid, so you can't get paid. I don't think it works like that.
It doesn't, it shouldn't. It doesn't work like that.
So you should, if you're a business owner, you're in business, you're conducting business fairly and equitably. You have employees, but you have people who you're contracting with above you, if you will, for the sake of this comment. I'm not looking to Lee Anderson to pay me if I'm an employee. I'm looking for the person who I work for to pay me. And so that if I have a business and I have employees or contractors, and I say I'm going to pay you every 2 weeks, 1st and the 15th, whatever the agreement is, and they accept it, then that's when they're scheduled to be paid. So if you're not paying and you say, well, they didn't pay me, so I can't pay you. No, it doesn't work. I don't think it works like that. You should have either the compensation or a line of credit in order for you to pay your employees, and then you take your dispute with those who owe you. You penalizing your employees because you're saying someone didn't pay you. I don't think it works like that, and that's like a poison pill to business when you have. But there's legal measures for those employees to take. So I hope it don't get to that in the type of litigation, because that only adds to the fracture that's happening.
We're very litigious in New Orleans. We're very litigious. So I would assume that that's exactly where it's going to go, because this guy apparently popped up these summer camps without funding. There was no money to begin with that was supposed to go toward what he went into the agreement with. And he had those folk believing that the city council and the city was on board, and the city council and the city said they were not. Nobody agreed to this but him.
But here's the thing for me. I understand that. But it also reports that Lee Anderson is the stepfather of, quote unquote, high-profile person.
Well, I think that's why he got in the door.
And that's the issue too. You're utilizing that.
I can't walk into the city of New Orleans with a letter saying such and such is my stepdaddy, and doors just open up. No, they opened up because of the name that he used. It opened up because of the letter that he had in his possession. So let's be very, very clear here. This is not just some random guy off the street. This is the stepfather of Zion Williamson of the New Orleans Pelicans, who was holding a letter from the district attorney, Jason Williams, with a whole bunch of influential people's names on it, including our Congressman Troy Carter. So that's a very powerful letter to be walking around with, and that's why folks signed on to say, yes, use my facility. Yes, here go my babies. And everybody got stuck in the lurch because he ain't had no money. Those babies need to be paid, and the facility need to be paid. And what I have a problem with is folks stepping up to only handle and cover one of the entities. And that young man out in the East, I still have not heard who's going to help him recoup his losses, because Sidney Torres and Larry Morrow have come together to cover what is going on at the Y, it is my understanding. But nobody's talking about the Hangout NOLA over there in the East, who was actually putting up his own money to help look after these babies over the summer. And then this guy comes along and act as if he can help elevate what he was already doing. That's what I have a problem with.
Now, you clarified a lot when you just said that, Dr. Wyatt. You clarified a lot. As far as Hangout NOLA, the issue is when you can't pay. If you already have skin in the game above and beyond, you satisfied that issue, and here comes this guy. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah, that has to be addressed, because that type of name dropping.
Yes.
You implicated Mr. Williamson to where he was one of your financial backers.
Yep.
It can go in the direction. I just wanted to clarify that. It just didn't sit right with me.
Zion Williamson's camp at all to say if he knew about this, if he greenlit this, if he was on board with this. They're using his name because that is his stepfather, which I think, to me, I have a problem with as well, because if Zion didn't know this was going on, that's a problem. If he knew it was going on and he allowed it to happen, then guess what Zion needs to do? He needs to make it right. That's all I'm saying. The babies need to be paid,
thing, Dr. Wyatt.
And that young man that Hangout NOLA needs to be paid. Somebody got to write a check.
And here's my final comment. That's why we're talking about these college athletes. What's the big thing now? Name, image and likeness.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
That was a very good point. Roy, look, let me catch you before we go to break real quick. Welcome to the Good Morning Show. You're on with Dr. White and Will Sutton.
Yeah, good morning, Dr. White. Good morning, Will. We have another problem on the lurch here.
Oh, Lord.
Are you aware that the Ethics Board for governing the attorneys, they approved of commercials? And I did a short poll. Not one of my people that I come in contact with can name a black law firm in this city, and that's a doggone shame. If you watch the TV, you see all these commercials on a daily basis, and only one black law firm is advertising. Now, I talked about the same issue. This was talked to when Gerard was on the show on the reality check when he was on from 1 to 4. No one has picked up on this issue, and it's bad. It is very bad. Well, nobody can name a black law firm in this city.
Is the Bagneris firm not black owned and operated?
Huh?
The Bagneris firm, is that black owned and operated?
Yes, it is.
So that's the one you're talking about?
Yes, no, that's not the one I'm talking about. I'm talking about Now that they brought up the issue on Gerard's show a couple of months back.
Okay.
What I'm talking about is this: there's only one black law firm, and I'm gonna tell you that's Juan LaFonta. That's the only one I've seen advertised. But
Well, I also just heard that Juan LaFonta is putting his name in the hat for Council District D.
That may be the case, but I'm talking about the black law firms and the ethics board and how hard it is for them for black attorneys to get
I understand. I get it.
advertising.
And that's a whole conversation, Roy. That's a conversation we need to have as it relates to how these complaints are even filtered through because there's no real representation. So I absolutely agree with you.
But the thing that really got my goal, we got attorneys. Why haven't they brought a lawsuit against this? That's the thing that really baffles me.
Good
You're an
question.
attorney. You challenge these type of issues.
Good question. Good question, Roy. Maybe now that they're hearing it, maybe it'll ring a bell for somebody. Thank you, Roy. I appreciate you.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Look, we have to go to break, but when we come back, we're going to keep talking, and I hope you keep listening. Roy brought up a very good point as it relates to the Board of Ethics. Where are the black attorneys filing suit against the things that are that rise to the level of litigation? Like, where are you? And then where are the black firms being represented? The only firm that I actually do know about is the Begnaris firm.
Right.
I don't know about any other black firms. But as we were talking and having this conversation, I received a text that said that Juan LaFonta is now putting his name in the hat for City Council District D. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. Y'all stay right with us right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
Get ready, New Orleans. Join us for the inaugural Blessed 26 Golf Classic, July 5th at Joe Bartholomew Golf Course, 6514 Congress Drive. It's a 4-man scramble format with a 9 a.m. shotgun start. Enjoy great food, music, and a chance to win a brand new car. Register now at blessed26.ticketspice.com. Save the date, Saturday, July 5th for the Blessed 26 Golf Classic at Joe Bartholomew Golf Course. For more information, please call 504-284-9985. See ya on the green.
Hey, New Orleans, look for important changes to your natural gas service. This summer, Delta Utilities takes over for Entergy Gas with a Louisiana-born, Louisiana-based approach to safe, clean, reliable natural gas. No interruptions or rate changes due to the transition, just dependable service and modernized technology to keep you running smoothly. Get to know us at deltautilities.com and stay tuned for more later this summer. Delta Utilities, focused on natural gas, committed to New Orleans.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Some things can steal your sunshine. Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken.
Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Happy Monday, everybody. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta White. Shout out to my super producer, Nyron Sanders, and my co-host, Will Sutton. I also want to thank Don and Roy for calling in because both of them made two extremely relevant points. with the latter being Roy talking about the Board of Ethics and like where are the Black attorneys, where are the Black law firms pushing back on some of the things that are borderline to me like worth a lawsuit.
Yeah.
I mean, so where are they? I absolutely agree with that. I also want to say something really quickly because if y'all are not aware, I dropped my phone in dishwater. I was washing dishes and my phone dropped in the water. I was without a phone, so I am not ignoring anybody. I did not have a phone. I now have a replacement phone, but I have nothing in it. I have no contacts, no numbers. I don't know who you are if you're texting me. And so if you're wondering why I'm not responding, because I don't know who I'm talking to. Like I literally just got a phone and messages are coming through like the floodgates and I don't know who I'm speaking to. So the only persons, plural, who numbers I know by heart are my mother and my child. I don't know anybody's number by heart. I just go to your name and hit call. So please forgive me if you've been trying to reach me for the last couple days. I don't have a phone. I can't even, like, all of my apps are on the phone for my bills. Like, I am in disarray right now.
Oh, Lord.
So I am not ignoring anybody. I just don't have access to my contacts or anything. I was literally talking to my producer through email last week because I didn't have my phone. And so I just want you to know that, like, I am not ignoring you. I just don't know who you are. And I don't know who I'm speaking to. And I just got it like one day ago. So if you called or text before then, I did it. I just didn't know. And if I have your email, I shot you an email and I say, look, I don't have a phone. So if you trying to call me, I'm not ignoring you. And so I gotta, and I don't even know how to work it. Like, so it's a new phone and I don't even know how to work it. And so please, if you want me to store your number back in the new phone, you gotta text me with your name though, because don't just text me and say store my number because I don't know who you are. Sorry. It's just Sandra and Cam. That's the only two people whose numbers I know by rote memory. Because, you know, Cameron's phone, I bought it years ago, so I know the number. And my mother's phone has been the same number since, I don't even know, like, since I was 7. I don't know. She's been having the same number. All of my family in Texas, I don't have y'all's number. Please text my phone and tell me who you are so I can store it. Once it gets to having to remember area codes with the phone number, nah, you lost me. I can't do it. And I definitely need Noonie to send me his number again because I talk to Noonie by text almost every day. And I couldn't text him. Shout out to Joe Bowie because he texted me and I was like, Lord, thank you for texting me because I wanted to call him and I couldn't. I could not.
You know, Noonie jumped into District D.
Yeah, I said Noonie's name for District D. And Noonie just had a really nice party. Mm-hmm. Noonie had a nice grouping of dead presidents on his clothes when I saw him at his party.
The birthday bash.
They showed him so much love. So happy birthday to Belton Noonie Man Baptiste. He celebrated a birthday this past week. Happy birthday, happiest of birthdays to my friend Treese Coward. She celebrated her birthday all of Essence Week, actually. And one of my dear friends is a Virgo girl like me. So, you know, I'm going to wait to shout her out on her birthday. And that's another thing we're going to start doing around here. If y'all want me to say happy birthday to y'all, put it in the chat or something, or text it to me. I'll tell your daughter
how we going to know
birthday.
If you don't say?
Yeah, I you know, that makes people's day when they can hear themselves being celebrated on air. And I try to always do that. If I run across somebody and they tell me that they listen, I shout them out the next day on the air because I am grateful for people thinking enough of me to turn on the radio and want to hear my voice at 7 o'clock in the morning. And half the time I be ranting because it's worth the rant, right? But yeah, I just wanted to say that because I know my producer was trying to reach me. I just didn't have a phone. I was washing dishes, and I'm not going to tell y'all what I was watching because y'all should know me enough to know what I was watching.
We know what you were
watching.
watching.
I was washing dishes. I made some really good dishwater, and the phone slid off of my island, off the bar that's above the sink, and slid directly into the water. And I gave it a rice bath for days, and it did not come back to life. So the apple is just flashing on my phone. It's just flashing. So I took it to the place, and the folk were like, Yeah, it's gone. It went to cell phone heaven.
I hope you can get some of that data.
I need it back because listen, everything is in my phone.
I would like your data.
No, I'm trying. Listen, let me tell y'all something, and I'm not joking. And we got to go to break in a couple of minutes, but I'm gonna make y'all laugh really quickly because my friends, the people who are really, really dear to me, have two. They have a couple directives. Should something happen to me, right? And one of them is burning my phone.
Yeah.
Burn it. Don't try to open my eye and unlock it. Don't use my finger and try to just burn it. That phone, oh my goodness. But what it taught me is, Will Sutton, that I need to have some other way to store things because everything is on my phone. They like at the place they was like, what's your password?
Dependable.
I say it's in my phone.
Right.
What's your iCloud sign it? It's in my phone.
Yeah, we're so dependable
my
on our
car
phone.
Insurance is in my wallet. My cards are in my wallet.
I got
all
my driver's license
the passwords to all of the things in my phone.
Yep.
So y'all, I have a phone and it's empty and I don't even know how to work it because it's the latest version of the phone. And I'm new to iPhone. I was a Droid girl like my whole life basically. And I don't know how to work this thing. And so thank God for my son because he helps
He helped
me.
you out a little bit.
Yeah, I see you, Tiff. And I definitely needed your number. Listen, if y'all want to know somebody that's efficient and well put together, she's a nurse, by career, but she is a Jill of all trades and everything else. Tiffany, the board president for the Edna Carr Alumni Network. Shout out to her. So, yeah, Tiffany actually built my website. So that's Cougars looking after Cougars. I know it's all purple around here, but we talking real purple right now.
Well,
that purple off Huntley Drive.
Josh was saying Android phones are tougher.
No, and listen, Josh, and that's what I'm hearing. But that's all I've ever had. And then when I got the iPhone, I was like, it felt foreign to me. I was like, what am I doing? And why is this like this? And then I realized I could do this is a computer. When you realize this iPhone is a real computer.
Yep.
But if thank you so much. If I have if you have my number and you want me to have yours, please text me and tell me who you are so I can store you in my phone because I have zero contacts, y'all. I'm out here. I'm just out here. I'm just outside with no direction. Listen, y'all, we have to go to break here. A word from our sponsors, but when we come back, we'll hear from Mr. Dennis himself talking all things Essence, New Orleans, and the road ahead. Stay with us right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
New Schools for New Orleans, along with New Orleans Public Schools and the Cowell Institute, are excited to announce the launch of a new digital tool on the data dashboard. New Orleans Public Schools, 20 years later, a timeline of recovery, transformation, and growth. The tool provides data, information, and context on the past 20 years of K-12 education in New Orleans, the changes that occurred, and the outcomes these changes helped produce. Visit nolapublicsschools.com/K20 to view the tool and learn more.
I'm Misty Jordan with BIN News Now. President Trump says he plans to be in Texas this week to visit areas of the state hardest hit by the catastrophic flash flooding.
Probably on Friday. We wanted to leave a little time. I would have done it today, but we'd just be in their way.
Search and recovery efforts are underway for a third day after flooding killed people in 6 counties. A black man and his girlfriend attended a comedy show in Kansas City. A white woman claims the couple laughed too loudly. The police got involved and the black couple ended up in handcuffs that night. The charges were dismissed, but now the couple filed a lawsuit against the police department for arresting them without interviewing witnesses. They claim their rights were violated for not being able to enjoy the show they paid for. And actor Alan Payne is 57 years old today. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning. Wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Happy Monday, everybody. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer and our bevy of interns back there pointing fingers and pressing buttons as they like to do. And my co-host, Will Sutton.
Good morning.
It's Monday, y'all, and we're on the back end of the extravaganza that was Essence Fest. And we have the man of the hour here, Mr. Richard Lou Dennis. The boss man, huh? They say that you,
that's what they say.
They say you driving the ship.
Although they don't treat me like that.
Yeah,
but I hear it when it's convenient.
And listen,
I've seen another title on social media, head intern.
Head intern,
Yeah,
exactly.
So
that's how I'm treated. That's what counts.
We want to absolutely welcome you to the Good Morning Show, and thank you for availing yourself to us, because I know it's you're running on no sleep. You need to get some rest so you can recharge and get
I'm
back to it.
energized for this conversation.
But thank you for being here. We appreciate you.
That's great. That's great.
And so first and foremost, for the purview of our listening audience and those who may not know who you are, who are you? What is your road to Essence Fest? And let's just get into all of the things.
And I just want to add one more thing, because this is one of the things we say. And who are your people?
That's a good place to start.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good place to start. So, as you said, my name is Richelieu Dennis. I am the head intern, as you know, but in my official title, I'm the executive chairman of Sundial Media Group, of which Essence Ventures is the crown jewel, if you will, inside of that entity. And what we are focused on is, my whole career has been focused on leveraging business as investment tools into Black communities, right? So that's kind of what we build, and so the having the ability and the good fortune to be able to add Essence along with Afropunk, along with BeautyCon, along with Refinery 29, all extremely valuable, culturally driven brands that are steeped in identity and in culture, right? And so that's a very intentional strategy, because we believe that we've got to preserve our culture. Look around you, and you see, especially in the business world, we see too many businesses that sort of are flashes in the pan, right? And a flash in the pan doesn't mean it's 6 months or 1 year. I'm talking about, 10 years, 15 years, right? We want to build generational businesses. We want to build businesses that are here for 100 years, 200 years. So we work on 100-year plans, and we refresh those 100-year plans every 2-3 years, right? So a lot of businesses work on a 1-year plan, a 5-year plan. We work on a 1-year plan, a 3-year plan, and a 100-year plan. We're now, Essence is now 55 years old, and we're in the middle of well, I wouldn't say the middle. We're in the 3rd year of our first 5-year plan, and in the sort of first iteration of executing against our 100-year plan, because the world that we live in deserves to have not just the history and the legacy of the journey of Black people, and in Essence's case of Black women, be here not just for our generation and the generation before us, but for the next 5-6 generations, and hopefully we'll leave in place the infrastructure and the mindset that those that come after us will take it another 100 years. So that's what we're trying to do with it, and I'm excited to be be on that journey of doing it. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So in December of 2017, Mr. Dennis founded Essence Venture, which acquired Essence Communications Incorporated from Time Inc. And the purpose of this conversation is to acknowledge community concerns, highlight Essence's vision and position this as a start of a new open conversation with New Orleans, reinforcing that Essence remains committed to honoring its roots and evolving to meet the moment. I heard something when I was on my way to work, and it just stuck with me. I don't remember the guy's name, but I think he works in like the social media realm for Essence, and he was responding to the feedback, and he said that it highlights Essence's impact because folk have so much, that
So much love and respect.
Absolutely,
and
and I think that
yeah.
resonated with me because New Orleanians appreciate accountability. And the fact that he met the moment with that, and there was no running from it. It was just like, there's some opportunities for growth here.
Yeah.
But that speaks to Essence impact in the city of New Orleans and the city of New Orleans' love for that fest being here. So thank you for even being here to have this
You mean
conversation.
at 7 o'clock in the morning?
7 o'clock in the morning.
after putting on a 3-day, 24-hour festival.
But we have to say that because I don't think folk, especially if they're not a part of the festivities, if they didn't go, if they didn't attend, I don't think they understand the gravity of this moment to be sitting here at 7 a.m. after something of that magnitude. Good, bad, or indifferent. It's still, it happens. And
But
so,
New Orleans deserves that, right?
Yeah,
so that's
yeah.
the responsibility that
Yeah.
we took on.
Yeah.
Right. And we're gonna honor our responsibility.
Yeah.
Not just to New Orleans, but quite frankly to our ancestors, because they worked harder than we did and got less than we got. So the least we can do is do that. The other thing I want to point out in what you just said, and thank you for saying that, is the ownership of the responsibility that we have is not found in just one person inside of that company. Anybody will give you the same answer. That answer that he gave you, anybody will give you that same answer any day.
That's a testament to a system functioning well, right? I was just having this
100 years.
conversation. I was just having this conversation with someone as it relates to schools. If your school works well, your principal could afford to not actually be physically in the building. The school is supposed to work. People are supposed to know what to do because it speaks to the culture of the building, not necessarily the leadership of the person, but the culture that person has instituted in that building. And I said that to say that that's what I feel like I heard coming from his mouth. It's a culture of let's accept the accountability because good, bad, or otherwise, we're here, right? It happens. And we want to grow. And the only way we grow is to have the conversations about what worked, what didn't necessarily work, so that we can put the best plan in place moving forward.
Well, and then to hold each other accountable to delivering on the decisions made from that feedback. Right. And that's that we're big on that. Right. And so the accountability piece, the capability piece, the accountability piece, and the execution piece are big for us because that's where we believe we win, and that's where we believe we outperform our competitors in the market.
So you've heard the stuff. You've seen the stuff.
I've heard and seen a lot.
I do. But before I go into that part, I want to say I told you this on Saturday.
Yes.
But my wife and I go to Essence Festival every year.
Yeah.
I mean, it is an important part of the definition of our year.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of the year for us, it's ending Kwanzaa. So there's New Year, but it's ending Kwanzaa.
Yeah.
And there's Jazz Fest, and there's Essence Festival, there's Bayou Classic, there's Kwanzaa on the end.
Yep.
Yes, and some Christmas. So culturally for us, Essence Fest is an important part of our year. Now, I'm not a nighttime Essence guy.
Okay.
So it's daytime. But I saw a number of things that are better and have improved over the course of the last few years, including the ability to walk without kind of bumping into people, that kind of thing.
I call that safety.
Yeah, right. Including programming. Doesn't mean the programming wasn't good
Yes.
3, 4, 5 years ago. It's just the quality of the programming and the engagement of the programming. Those kinds of things.
Yeah. The only thing I would add to that, sorry to interrupt, the only thing I would add to that, and that I hope that people get an opportunity to experience, is the intentionality of the programming.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's very intentional. It's not, and I think this is also part of the transition that people are trying to grapple with. It's very intentional around building and not celebrating the programming. Right? We believe the celebration is nighttime. We believe that there's a place for the celebration. During the daytime, there's a place for acknowledgement, but it's a place for development and growth.
And I think to that point, I was very pleased with the topics that were covered. I went into one session, they were talking about maternal health, right? I went to another session and we were talking, because I was hanging around the Black Economic.
Global Black Economic Forum.
And it was home ownership. And I was able to talk to Dr. Andre Perry, who I know just from the city of New Orleans, and just what he's doing in the space to build Black wealth.
Yep.
And it's I was able to meet my idol, Cheryl Swoops.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you, thank you about that forever. But just to talk to her and to give her flowers that she can smell, right? Because I don't think she understood what I said when I said I love you. I said that to her.
Yeah.
Her poster was on my wall.
Yeah.
And to see her and how the game of basketball has grown since she was the first woman drafted into the WNBA, that was powerful for me. I was able to see Maxine Shaw from, it was all things Black, all things excellent, all things beautiful. And even with the hiccups, I still was able to appreciate those things.
Yeah.
And I think for me to layer the conversation that way is important.
Yep.
I was talking to my girlfriend who was celebrating. She uses your fest as her birthday celebration.
Yeah.
And I was
That's her birthday party.
That's her birthday.
We get a few of those
every single year.
It's my birthday party too.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
And I was able to talk to her, and one of the points that I made in having a conversation with her was, I have no interest in dogpiling on anything.
Yeah.
I have questions, because we know the listeners want answers to certain things, but this is not a space. This is real Black amplification of Black excellence, Black togetherness, Black unity. We're going to hold each other accountable, but we're going to do so in love.
Yep.
So this is that kind of space
and
here.
that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, and to be honest with you, I value that and I appreciate that, because this is part of what we're fighting for, right? So this is a Black-owned radio station.
Yes.
From what I understand, it's the oldest, and it's the only. From what I understand, right? So when we need to have these conversations, we've got nowhere else to go but here. And if this radio station does not adapt to the new formats, to the new technology, to the new thinking, to the new ways of engaging, it won't be here. Because there's not a ton of people out there running around trying to spend money with a radio station,
right?
Let alone a Black-owned radio station,
right?
So if something isn't done that's different from what used to be done, it won't be here, and this community will have nowhere to go. If this were an iHeart station, I wouldn't be here talking to you, right? I'm here because there's a value in the things that we're all trying to do for our community, and we're gonna do them differently, right? And we're gonna have different results. That's not what matters. What matters is, what is the intention with which we're doing the work and for what outcome, right? And is that work going to be sustainable? Because I don't care how much work we do. If it's not going to be here 2 years from now, I'm wasting my time, right? And you're wasting your time, right? So we want to be in environments that are built to sustain, right? Now, getting back to why I jumped in on this part of the conversation is, where else does Black New Orleans go for a fair, honest conversation?
Oh, they come here. You have to come here.
That's it?
Yes. Yes.
That's it.
And along those lines, we hear talking about Essence and all, but the equity media owners are addressing what you said, and there's some exciting things coming.
Yeah.
But today's not the day for that. But it's to your point. They see that, and so some of that is in motion.
It's got to be. Yeah.
So the
you don't get to be the longest by not thinking in front.
Yeah,
that's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So some of the things that people have had concerns about are the super lounges versus lounges versus VIP versus VVIP and all of what that means or I used to get and that kind of thing, and the quality of the audio at concerts and the amount of wait time between acts. And I didn't know that Lauryn Hill was going to be performing, and otherwise maybe I would have come later so I could catch her, and those kinds of things. Now, one of the things I'll say is, speaking of things changing, that probably wouldn't have been as amplified for Essence Festival 20 years ago.
Right.
It's social media has changed a lot. So there are single people. Some of them identified, some of them not even identifying themselves.
Some not even people.
Right. Who are saying things, and it gets amplified in that sense.
Yeah.
There's not much we can do about that, but there is there are other things that we can do, and I've seen you all do some of that this week, especially with issuing the apology, and the whole
to Lauryn Hill?
No, the apology on the lounges, and did we get it right?
Oh, on the lounges?
Right,
okay,
right, yeah. But the part of the thing, I think, in Target, so that's kind of a big one right now. This week,
we should dive into that.
So there are a number of those things. I just laid out a few, and I just want to hear your overall, and if you dive in on one of them. But what's your overall for? Have you heard that? Have you understand where people are coming from?
So I've heard all of that and more. And every year I hear all the different things that are sort of like we're almost sort of the we unearth a lot of what our communities are going through because of what Essence is and what it means, right? What the expectations are, what the mood of the community is, what the sentiment nationally is, because as local as Essence Festival is, it's really also national. So I think some of that drives tension as well, because hey, there's not enough focus on local. There's not, there's too much focus on this, on national. There's too much focus on this. There's not enough focus there. So we hear all of this every year, and we use that as a way to fuel our growth, right? And as a way to understand what it is that's expected of us. Sometimes the expectations are reasonable, and sometimes they're unreasonable. When they're reasonable, or even if they're unreasonable, we take all of that into account, right? Our team, Rakia and her team, do an excellent job of social listening. So we're listening to everything that's being said every day, right? Not just when we come here, but across the board. We take that information and we say, okay, what are the things that we can change? What are the things that we should not change? Right? Because sometimes there are things that people just don't understand, right? And we're looking at it and saying, well, our job here is to steer this ship, right? If I'm steering this way when somebody says this, or steering that way when somebody says that, I never get to where we're going, and nobody's happy, right? But that feedback fuels us, right? It fuels us to be better. I would tell you, I don't know how many people out there know this, but Essence is, if not the largest, one of the very largest festivals in this country, right? That festival is run by 98% Black people.
Mm-hmm.
From all the people that we hire in the convention center, you and all of your listeners have been there, right? To the people that are doing the design work, to the people that are, serving the food, to the people that are inking the deals, that are negotiating the contracts, right? So what we're really doing is building a world-class experiential company.
If you're just joining the conversation, we are deep into it with Mr. Dennis, the founder of Essence Ventures, or as he likes to refer to himself, the head intern over at Essence Ventures. And this conversation is absolutely needed, and we typically break at 8:20.
Okay.
Which is why I was trying to break. But when you have the head intern, we could extend the time. So we're going to break. We're going to break at 30. And so we'll mention Target, and one of the topics that was the pushback, which I now understand that you guys are in a multi-year deal or partnership or sponsorship, and you can correct the language for me with Target. So it's not as simple as, oh, they're in the middle of a boycott, we can't move forward with this sponsorship. Can you just talk to us about that? Because that was one of the things as I was coming to work.
Yeah.
All of the other stations were talking about.
Yeah.
This idea of vendors pulling out, folk, who are integral to the boycott, expressing, well, we love Essence, but don't support Target.
Yeah.
Can you just talk to our listeners about that sponsorship partnership, and what does that mean for Essence moving forward?
Yeah. And just so I just have clarification, because words can mean different things to different people. When you hear vendors pulling out, what does that mean?
So there was some a number of vendors. It was one in particular. It was a Black vendor around hair care, and they were expressing that your sponsorship or Target sponsorship of Essence didn't feel good to them, so they pulled
Wasn't
out.
in line with their thinking, their philosophy.
We're talking about Tamika Mallory. She put out a statement saying that she loves Essence. She's been year in and year out, but because of the active boycott, that she wasn't going to be here. Jamal Bryant, who we've been talking extensively about on this station as it relates to the boycott, not just of Target, but now there's the Dollar General brand and those things of that nature. We've just been talking about that heavily here. So that's what we mean about different folks deciding not to go forward because of the active boycott. And then there are certain smaller brands that have participated in Essence in previous years that are saying that they wouldn't participate this year because of the active boycott.
Okay, got it. Thank you for the clarification. But before we go there, if you don't mind, I wanna sort of finish on the idea of listening to feedback and what we do with it, right? So we take that feedback, and then we look at our plans and our strategies and say, okay, where does this fit? Where doesn't it fit? What's right? What's wrong? And so some tangible examples of that were 2 years ago, very crowded, right? Very unsafe. We got to do something about that, right? We've always taken pride in the fact that when Essence comes to New Orleans actually gets safer. So we can't be the ones that then are not paying attention and are not listening to what our patrons are telling us and not doing something else. So you saw, we took on more space, we expanded the aisles, we brought in more security. You see standstills everywhere, right? Line queues, people moving the directions of the lines, moving them faster. And even with that, we were so jammed this weekend that even with that, we still had some problems in some places. Some of them being, confusion as to where to go to get in. If you're a VIP holder, you go over to this entrance. If you're not a VIP holder, you go over to that entrance. Some people didn't know that. Some people didn't get the message. Maybe we didn't communicate it properly or whatever the case may be. So very quickly adapting to that on day 2 to say, hey, we're going to create separate queues at every entrance for people that have VIP so they can go in. So we're constantly listening and making it. And one might think, hey, that's a small thing, but to us, that's a very big thing, right? It's a very, very big shift. And I can give you a whole litany of lists of where we listened and how we've done that. We've also heard a lot that, and this kind of gets to where you're talking about, that the New Orleans community. So a couple of years ago, we had a very disappointing exchange with Baldwin Books around a book event that they were doing that was using the Essence brand.
Can I do a point of local context?
Yeah.
My understanding is that it was an Atlanta-based book operation that rented the space at Baldwin.
So I don't know who rented what, right? What I do know is that we have brand equity that we all want to protect, right? And so it was not, I didn't know that. The materials that they used said Essence Festival event, right? And they were charging authors to attend that event, right? Whereas Essence Festival book events are free, right? So with the way it started to happen was people had paid, and then they discovered that the event at the Essence event at Convention Center was free,
right?
And so then they started to demand of Essence a refund of their money. What that does is, and we're seeing a lot of that even in this past festival, that then puts a tarnish on the brand of Essence.
Sure.
Right? So we took the action that we should have taken, and we'll take it a million more times under the same circumstances, and ask that event be shut down because it was using our name, right, without permission and doing business and activities without our permission. So when that happened, community got upset. I understand why the community got upset. I don't think the community ever got a chance to understand why we took the actions that we took. It spiraled from that into saying when Essence comes to town, we don't get to benefit from it. And those things, if, we can go and look at the data and it'll show just how much of an investment we make in the business community, how many of the local businesses we actually support, right? And how many of them we allow to use our branding and our logos.
So to your point, because we have to break at this point, but I want to make something extremely clear to the listening audience because I appreciate that clarity because I live here. And I do a lot of work with DJ over at Baldwin and Company. I go to a lot of his events, and this is the first time I've heard the breakdown of how that took place. I understand branding, and I know DJ does as well.
Yeah.
But the context is it wasn't necessarily a Baldwin and Company event. It was just being held at his space, but they were still using Essence's brand to promote that event, and that's where the line was crossed. And you had to do what you needed to do to protect the brand. And it speaks to this comment
and the
that
consumer.
Absolutely, as well. And so one of our owners has a Black Source Media platform as well. He wrote about a story on Essence, and a commenter said, they're a white-owned company. What did y'all think was going to happen? Can you spell sellout? This is what made me Google you, right? And I literally Googled you, and I gave the actual information. And then I gave it with the caveat of saying we have to be very careful about what we put into the atmosphere because somebody's going to read this and believe it and then share it and reshare it. And then there you go. Essence is owned by white folk, right? And so I wanted to make that very clear. And I know we have to go to break, but that marries into the idea of folk just not understanding how this thing took place. And nobody understands, where did you get that information from, sir? Right. So if we don't correct the record just as loudly as we, muddy the water, then that's when the clarity is not there.
Yeah.
We want to continue talking to
Yeah.
you. I appreciate the dialogue that we're having and the discourse that we're having. We have to take a break here, word from our sponsors, but when we come back, we'll continue to hear from Mr. Richard Lou Dennis, the head intern over at Essence Ventures right here at WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
Connect with NOLA Public Schools. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and X for the latest updates. Sign up for District Digest, our official newsletter where we share district achievements, celebrate student successes, and keep you informed about our vision of providing a high-quality education. And don't miss our school board meetings. Watch in person or live stream on YouTube. Stay informed. Stay engaged. Visit NOLAPublicSchools.com today. Again, that's NOLAPublicSchools.com.
Get ready, New Orleans. Join us for the inaugural Blessed 26 Golf Classic, July 5th at Joe Bartholomew Golf Course, 6514 Congress Drive. It's a 4-man scramble format with a 9 a.m. shotgun start. Enjoy great food, music, and a chance to win a brand new car. Register now at blessed26.ticketspice.com. Save the date, Saturday, July 5th for the Blessed 26 Golf Classic at Joe Bartholomew Golf Course. For more information, please call 504-284-9985. See ya on the green.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Happy Monday, everyone. Listen, it's been a dynamic conversation. We're talking to Mr. Richard Lou Dennis. He is the founder of Essence Ventures, and he is the man behind the curtain of all things Essence that you've been able to experience over the weekend. And we are so fortunate to have him in the studio with us this morning. Thank you for waking up so early and availing yourself to us for all of the heavy questions. And we're going to talk about some good stuff, too, because even with everything that could have not gone as in line as we wanted it to, there were some beautiful things happening at Essence Fest.
Some extraordinary beautiful.
And we'll continue to talk about that.
Dr. White, and we got a little time here, but one of the things that's been circulating, and not just this year, but I think more so this year, is Essence committed to New Orleans? Mm-hmm. That there is a contractual relationship that you're in the last year of the contract, and so this may be it. I don't think that's right, but okay, that's a piece of it. With any large entity, festival or otherwise, there are state-supported, city-supported subsidies to help bring the wonderful event here and make it all that it is. And how do you feel about our city's support as a city? So not the people per se, but the city and the state of Louisiana. How supportive have we been financially? And how supportive have we continued to be, or has that dropped off? There are some different people talking about that.
Yeah. So let's start with defining support.
Sure.
Right. So in my mind, or the way that I think about it, is that support is an action, right? And the city and state have been very active in ensuring that Essence remains here. So I don't think that we have very good relationships with both the city and the state. We believe strongly that the officials, the government officials, fight hard to get us what they can. Ultimately, though, the festival is a very costly entity to put on. We come here every year, so unlike the Super Bowl, one of the things I'll tell you, and this is that really had me do a double take was when Super Bowl was here. The criticism that we got around, what the NFL was doing and right? The NFL is 60 plus billionaires, right? Running a very big business with tons of advertising dollars that shows up here once every 10 years. We come here every year. We invest everything we have in this city every year. And some years it goes great. Some years it doesn't go great. But that doesn't waiver our commitment. And we haven't seen a waiver from the city or state government. We are going through extraordinary times right now. Do we need more money and support from the city and the state to keep the services that we provide, the free, you go in that convention center, it's free to get in. You go to those panels, you sit there all day long, you get to take in all of this knowledge, it's free. You go to the Global Black Economic Forum that you went to, where, this year it was Jasmine Crockett, it was Justice Brown, the first Black female Supreme Court justice. A few years ago we had Janet Yellen, we have Kamala Harris, we have mayors from all over the country, we have our local state, our local city officials, we have our local state officials. All of that is designed to help develop our community intellectually, right? To bring knowledge that other people and experts, the best of the best of the best experts is who we bring here and who are driving those conversations, who are sitting on those panels, who are working in those think tank sessions. All of that costs money. There is no cost to the citizens of New Orleans, Louisiana, or anybody that comes here to visit, right? But in order for us to maintain that level of standard, right, you've seen the quality improve, not decrease, right? We need the city and the state funding to keep pace with the increase in costs, right? To get talent here, the talent costs have gone up 30, 40% in the past year alone, right? There was a time where Black performers, Black artists, Black musicians, right, were of very low value to concerts and festivals like Coachella. They were virtually non-existent in Europe, right? Or they were paid very little to go to Europe. That was the time where Essence was there for them in their careers. That stage provided people access to consumers in ways that nobody else did. And we did that consistently. If you think of the careers that were birthed on that stage and that were developed over the years on that stage, you're talking about the biggest and the best that we have in our community, right? Now that Coachella needs Black artists to drive their ticket sales, right? They now pay them fees that we can't afford. Right? Now that, Wireless or Glastonbury or you name them, right? The summer festivals in Europe that could care less about Black people, could care less about Black culture, but are very good at extracting Black culture and monetizing Black culture, the fees have gone up. So we're now competing, right, against the best of the best in the world, right? But look at what we just delivered this year. We delivered Lauryn Hill, Jill Scott, Babyface, Isley Brothers, Raheem DeVaughn, Maxwell, LL Cool J,
you even had
Jermaine
Mariah the
Dupri,
Scientist for the younger
Mariah
folks.
the Scientist. Yeah. And that's another thing I want to talk about, right? How we think about Essence we think about Essence as a multi-generational platform for Black families, right? Because we want to have a safe environment where you can bring your family on a holiday vacation. I say this, when you get on the plane coming to Essence Festival, you're getting on the spaceship going to Wakanda. When you land at that airport, you've landed in Wakanda. I don't care who you are. Everybody in that airport treats you with the utmost respect that week. I can't speak for the rest of the weeks here, but I know that week, when you get off of that plane and you're walking these streets, you are treated like the queen and the kings that you are. That's what we have to maintain. And to do that, we've got to maintain the quality of the experience, right? Are we going to have snafus from time to time? Yes, but it's not because we're being complacent. It's because we're trying to push the envelope to deliver better, right? So go ahead.
And I think, Mr. Dennis, too, that, you know, as you were talking, I was thinking about something, and it made me think of the lyric when, you know, it says, back then they didn't want me, now I'm hot, they all on me, right?
Yeah.
And we allow ourselves, Essence amplifies us to the point where now Coachella is interested in us.
Exactly.
I think that we still owe it to Essence to be to Essence what Essence was to us.
Yeah.
There should be no competing with Coachella for Black talent to come to the Black Fest in a Black city to amplify Black excellence. In my opinion, that's just my little small humble opinion. Right?
And that is, and I agree 100% with that opinion. And so, and we're not going out and saying, hey, we're not charging the artist the Black tax. We just don't want them to charge us the Black tax.
And that's the point that I'm hoping people carry away from what you said. Because for me, if Essence is where I always know I can come home to, there's always going to be an audience for Lauryn Hill at an Essence Fest,
100%.
right? And even with
At
all of
3
the conversations around her, right?
Yep.
There's always going to be somebody waiting to hear from her at Essence.
100%.
We can't say the same for counterparts in other places. So that may be what they're doing for you now, but you could always come back to this. So I feel like that is the responsibility we owe each other in every facet of Blackness, not just entertainment.
100%. Yep.
That's what Black love is to me.
Yep.
And so for me, we owed it to the love of being us that we honor that relationship.
And
right?
And that's why we have to fight so that they don't just honor that relationship, that they're proud to perform on that stage.
That's it.
That we give them the production value that they would get anywhere else. The artists and the audience.
And you have people singing every lyric to your song 25, 30 years old.
Yeah.
And folk of all generations, right?
Yeah.
Are there
younger people.
As a collective singing.
Nothing gives me greater joy. Nothing
Yeah.
gives me greater joy than seeing a family go through that convention center, go to dinner, and go to the show all together.
Yeah.
And when they go to that show, there's something there for, like you said, Mariah the Scientist, Coco Jones, Stephanie Mills last night, which was, by the way, out of this one. We got to talk about Super Lounge too, because I know that was one of the things.
Yeah.
You see, y'all should have made sure y'all had enough time when y'all got me here.
We're going to go to break, but this is your hour. It belongs to you. Look, if you're just joining the conversation, we're talking to Mr. Dennis, founder of Essence Ventures, talking all things Essence, all things New Orleans and the road ahead. Y'all, are you staying with us after the break? Because my producer said he's good.
I'm here until we finish this conversation.
That's the Haitian term speaking, baby. We got to just back up on that.
All right.
Stay with us right here at WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
It's a hot and mostly dry Thursday with highs in the low to mid-90s and feels like temperatures near 100. A few scattered showers and storms are possible for the afternoon. For the 4th of July and this weekend, expect typical summer heat with highs in the 90s and a few pop-up storms each afternoon, but not expecting a washout for the fireworks. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Hey, this is Steve Poston. Be sure to listen to WBOK 1230 a.m. every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and Sunday evening at 5 p.m., bringing you the best Southern Soul barroom music with the Southern Soul Weekend Party Mix, hosted by me, of course. I'll be playing your favorite Southern Soul music by artists from all over the South, right here on WBOK 1230 a.m. or online at WBOK1230.com. The station you listen to longer. Listen to longer. Listen to longer.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month by the community scientists at Rise St. James. This month, we spotlight phthalates, chemicals added to plastics, especially PVC, to make them more flexible and durable. But there's more. Research shows phthalates may disrupt hormones, affect reproductive health, and contribute to environmental pollution impacting our communities. Join us as we explore how these additives shape our everyday lives and the world around us. For more details, visit risestjames.org. Empower your knowledge with Rise.
Hello, I'm Gary Clark. Please tune in to Dr. Clark 101, The Living Classroom, which is broadcasted weekly every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. on WBOK 1230 a.m. on your dial. And as always, it's been a pleasure.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Brian Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
And we are back. Happy Monday. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. If you're just joining the conversation, we are knee-deep in it with Mr. Dennis, the founder of Essence Ventures, talking all things Essence, all things New Orleans, and the road ahead. And speaking of the road ahead, we're talking about the governmental impact as it relates to Essence and its viability.
It's so important because we who live here, we're taxpayers, and we have expectations. We have expectations for our street lights, for our trash pickup, for government efficiency, and we have an expectation for Essence Festival after all these years. So I know I asked you about this a little earlier, but there are a number of different people saying different things. Right. So I want to give you the chance to deal more specifically with, is the city financially, so I'm not talking about any individual person.
Right.
Is the city financially doing more or less in your time here, and what kind of amount are we talking about? And is the state doing more or less, and what kind of amounts are we talking about, and is it enough?
Right. So I'll start with the last question. Is it enough? No. Are they making efforts to make that better? Yes. Right. So we've got a good partnership. We continue to work on where they can be helpful, particularly financially. So we did not, to be very direct in answering your question, we received significantly less this year than we have.
$2 million less.
A little more than that.
Okay.
But that's collectively, right?
Okay.
And so
that's not just the state. That's overall. Okay. All right.
Overall,
because that's a piece of what's out there.
It's overall.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have in front of me the exact breakdown of each, so I don't want to misspeak or give wrong information. But it was less this year. Not only was it less this year from the state, because of the DEI pullbacks, our sponsorships were significantly less, right? And so that's something that we have to tackle as well, right? But that did not deter us from the investments that we need to make sure our community got what they deserved, right? So again, the proof is in the pudding. Look at the lineup. Look at the quality of the lineup. Now, there are some folks that say, hey, you guys released late. You guys did, right? That's a whole nother conversation. The releasing late piece is, I think, the mindset that our community has around tickets, when they go on sale, how they go on sale, why they go on sale. And the reason for that is because they too have to plan and budget. Some people are coming from across the country. Some people are coming from across the ocean, right? So they need to be able to plan and budget, right? The challenge that we're facing is all this competition that I talked about with where artists are going for the summer and where they're planning for the summer. So we're having to engage talent much sooner than we used to have to before. We're having to pay talent much higher rates than we used to have before. And our revenues are now being impacted because of less revenue coming from the state. I mean, from the city and state, from government, less revenue coming from sponsorship. And so we've got to balance all of that out. What we will not do is put out an inferior product, right? So as we make the shifts and make the changes, there's going to be some places where we're not going to get it 100% right. Some places we're going to get it 100% right. But I just want your audience to know that the intention is to not see a decrease in the quality of what we offer, right? So that goes back to, in some cases, I think we may be overcompensating. So if you look at the lineup, right? On some nights, there are 10 artists, right? Maybe we don't need that much. If we don't have that many artists, time goes by faster. There's less chances for equipment failure and those things, which we did have this weekend. And unfortunately, it impacted Miss Lauryn Hill.
Sure.
Right? And then she got blamed for being late. It wasn't her fault, right? We were very
well,
quick
that's
to
important
say,
for people to know,
No,
because there are a lot of people saying
we shared that, right? It's not her fault, right? And on top of that, even though it was late and people had left and it was cold, she put on a performance that had me standing there until 3:00 in the morning. It was that good. And I tell people, you know, for who I am, a Lauryn Hill fan, for as long as she's been doing music, I thought it was not just the best performance that she had done that I had seen. I thought it was the best performance that I have seen, period. That's how good it was. And the reason that it was so good to me was because she gave her two sons the opportunity and introduced them musically to the Essence community. That's why we're here, right? We're not here to destroy people. We are not here to critique and criticize for the sake of doing so. We are here to build up families. We are here to build up businesses. We are here to reinvest in our communities, right? So when I see that, nothing could make me more proud. So whatever one may want to say, to me, that's the best example of a performance that incorporates the values of what Essence is that I have seen.
And I appreciate that. And we only have a few minutes left with you.
Yes.
And I know you wanted to touch on the
Target.
topic of Target.
Yeah.
And I want to give you the opportunity to do that before we part ways.
Yeah. So I think that was another big impact, right? Is there was a Target boycott has been going on, and it's been going on since, I don't know, February maybe or March, but it's been going on for some time. And so that created a lot of uncertainty, right? Because if we're losing funding from the state, if brands are cutting back on their DEI budgets, like Ford, right? And I'll name them, right? Because it's not I'm not going to allow them to go hide behind, right? They're and then There are others in the market who are taking credit, like Costco, right? Who, in my experience in business, and I've been dealing with the largest retailers in the world for 20 years. I've never seen a program that they put together to support my community. I'm not saying they haven't done it. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen programs where there's been opportunities directed at business people in our communities to go build their businesses, but yet they get the benefit, right, of the let's call it the
don't shop here, shop at our place.
Don't shop here, shop at our place, right? And then the ones that are still, doing small token things so that they can remain in position to say, oh, we're still supporting, but really are not, right?
So Target, you're saying, has invested in us over
Target
time.
has invested in us from where I sit and from what I know and my own lived experience, with having invested in over 20 different businesses that do business in Target today, has not pulled back on any of the commitments that they've made to those businesses. Not that I've seen, not that I know. The commitments that they made, there was a commitment that said they were gonna invest or spend $2 billion with Black-owned businesses over a 5-year period from when they made it to 2025. I know for a fact that they are on course to complete that this year. So they will hit it on time. So if the issue is a matter of language and a matter of communication, then I understand that. But from the perspective of, have they actually cut back dollars? Are they treating their vendors differently? I have no evidence of that, and I haven't seen that. In fact, I've seen the opposite.
Okay.
I think that's some needed nuance to the conversation, because again, just as we were saying about the comments that were being made about you on this Black platform, language matters, and what folks say matter. And if we don't correct the record, then the lie continues to grow bigger and bigger. And I will say to that point, have you spoken, because I think the context that you just shared, do the folk who are in charge of the boycott of Target have that perspective that you just shared with us?
So I don't know. I haven't spoken with them directly, so I don't know if they have that context or not, right? Okay. But I understand why people would want to boycott, and I understand the value of having our voices heard. The question that I have to that is, to what end?
It's a valid question.
Yeah.
But what I want you to do, because I know you have to go, and I know you're extremely
and we
busy,
gotta go.
What do you want to leave our listening audience with? Because I do want to say there are a number of people who were holding to try to speak with you. We were purposeful and intentional about having a full, robust conversation with you. Yeah. So if there is feedback by any person who is listening, engaging in the chat, listening on any of our streaming platforms, please put your feedback in the chat. I'm personally telling you, we're going to pull that feedback and share it with Essence at their request, so that we can get all of your voices heard and your concerns addressed. But what do you want to leave with our listening audience? What's the takeaway here?
So I think there's sort of two things. One of them will be a more general community thing, and one will be a more Essence specific thing, right? We invested in Essence when nobody else wanted to. Plenty of people had the opportunity to and chose not to. We invested in it because we believe that our community deserves a platform that will be here, that can be trusted 100 years from now. That's our vision. And as long as we get support from this community, we will continue down that road. And there are many people that are disgruntled, but there are also many, 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 many more people that understand where we're headed, that are overly supportive, and that are cheering us on. That's what fuels us, and that's what drives us. And we're going to continue down that path. We will continue to make the efforts to make sure that everybody in New Orleans feels included as best as we can. Right, we will continue, and one of these days when we have more time, we can actually go through the stats of how we've grown the Essence marketplace, right? To today, I think we have something like 140 vendors just in the product area. Then there's another, X amount in the beauty area. There's another X amount in the food area, right? And the majority of our vendors are coming from New Orleans. But we're not just taking people and saying, hey, come and sell. We're saying, come get in our incubation program. Let us help you develop your business. Let us help you grow your business. Let us help you find the resources that you need. Everything from how you merch. If you walk in that convention center today and you see the setup of the SoCo market, it's like they're in any retail store, right? That's the experience we want. You know why? Because Target's buyers are going to come and walk that floor. Walmart's buyers are going to come and walk that floor. Amazon's buyers are going to come and walk that floor. We want our entrepreneurs in there to be ready for when they get the call, that they can make it to shelf and that they can stay on shelf. So we provide the training, we provide the coaching, we provide the resources, the relationships, we do the introductions. But for us to do that, we've got to make sure we got the right businesses in there, right? So that's part of what the challenge is, I believe, from the community's perspective, is that businesses that they may be used to seeing in there are businesses that have been there over a long period of time that are no longer there. And that's because there are new businesses that are coming in or businesses that hadn't had an opportunity before. But we're doing the best that we can to make sure that everybody gets a fair opportunity there. So I want to say that, right? Like that commitment is there. We've proven it. We've been here 6 years now. That stands there. The other thing is the bigger societal thing is we need to ask ourselves, when we use our voices, it is to what end? What is it going to deliver that is going to sustain our communities? And what is the impact that it's going to have? Because I can tell you what the impact was. Although the organizers were purposeful in saying the last 2 days or 3 days before the festival, or maybe even the week before the festival, they were very purposeful in saying they're not boycotting Essence. The advice was, we're not boycotting Essence. We're boycotting Target.
It didn't translate that way.
It did not translate that way at all.
Yes.
So what you had happen was people saying, well, why are you supporting Target? Don't you know there's a boycott going on?
Yes.
And that has two fundamental problems. One of them is it did not translate that way. The other one is the negative impact that is having on small Black businesses that rely on Target for their livelihood is going to bankrupt many of those businesses. Because while Target's business may be down 6%, 10%, or traffic is down, whatever they're calculating, I can tell you, show you the data where the Black businesses that are in Target are down 20%, 30%, right? And those are businesses that can't get capital by walking into the bank. They're not getting VCs to throw money at them. How they're funding those businesses is they're borrowing money from their mother. They're borrowing money from their father. They're borrowing money from their neighbors. They're taking down their 401ks down to zero to do this. They're taking second mortgages on their home. And so when you think about all of that, and then you say to somebody, you've got all this money invested in you've got your family's life savings, not just yours, your family's life savings in this business, and now it's down 20%, and your answer to them is sell direct to consumer, you have no idea what it takes to sell direct to consumer, because what it takes is another 20 to 30% of cost that's higher than what it costs you to sell the Target. Then you got to take into account that now I've got to drive traffic to my store, not Target driving traffic to Target store. I now have to drive traffic to my website. So what do I got to do? I got to go spend money to advertise on Meta. I got to go spend money to advertise on Google. I got to go spend money to advertise online in general. And what are they doing for us? They've announced the same pullbacks as Target has.
So now
Yeah.
we're saying, I mean, I'm happy to come back and have a
I
deep
want- I
conversation
need-
on
yes,
this.
yeah, right.
I need you to come back. I need you to come back because let me tell you something that just listening to you is the education for me because that's how I felt, when I heard about the rollback of diversity, equity, inclusion at Target. I felt exactly like that. Like, let's find another way to sell it, right? But again, I don't own anything in terms of business. I don't have to think about it and the scope of it. So I think you add a layer of education to it that folk need. That's why the conversation is needed, and that's why this radio station has to stay in existence because only here can you have that sort of kitchen table conversation to make us understand it at a micro level. Because this thing has happened macro, right? But this is a micro level conversation that folk need to have to be able to inform their opinions
And
about.
people are hurting.
Our
community.
Because
if
I
you
think
see, sorry to interrupt. But if you see how the employment rate, the unemployment rate for Black women is climbing, it's unbelievable. If you see how hard it is for us to get jobs, and somebody went out and took everything they had to start a business, and now we can be so callous at to say sell your product online.
But I think that you're needed in the conversation because the voice that they're hearing is saying this is what needs to happen. And then that voice is growing and multiplying by other voices. But when you have somebody who understands it at the business level, who understands it at being Black level, your voice is needed.
And by the way, somebody who's feeling the pain. Because your voice is needed in the conversation. If you say, hey, boycott Target, and a community of people follow you to boycott Target, and they boycott Essence, and then they're celebrating online to say, oh, you didn't sell as many tickets as you were selling. Think about what the impact is to the community that Essence is serving.
I received that because I'm telling you, I was one of the first because when the idea of rolling back diversity, equity, inclusion, it matters to me, and I'm thinking about us as a collective. Because, we always say they want our rhythm, but they don't want our blues, right? And I really mean that. Like, anybody that does not value your humanity, there has to be a lesson learned there. But I'm learning a lesson in this conversation, and I appreciate the conversation.
But we also have to value our own. I'll come back.
I need you to come back.
We have to value our own humanity.
Well, that's the conversation.
Understand.
That's the conversation I was having when we were talking about the Coachella thing. Coachella wouldn't pay attention to you if not for Essence.
No.
So how do we continue to honor and elevate the brand of Essence while also benefiting from now the Coachella audience is into us, right?
And
that's
the
conversation.
Two things can be true.
Absolutely.
Right?
Two things can coexist.
Absolutely.
And we're not a monolith. Black folk are not a monolith, and we all have different perspectives.
That's the other conversation we can get into.
All right. Well, I got to add this. I want to thank my friend Glenda McKinley. I didn't meet you till this week. I've been knowing this sister. And I want to thank her for helping
she's quite
make this happen.
She
means a lot. She means a lot here.
And I'm going to tell you how I know you're smart. I'm going to tell you how you know you're smart. Because though you're a Black man that knows what you're doing, you know how to put those sisters around you that have. I'm telling you, it's something about a Black man that understands because you have positions.
You don't even understand.
They are phenomenal. Every Black woman that has come into this station to talk about Essence has done that brand, elevated that brand in such a way that I felt proud to see Black women doing bossed up things. They're wonderful, wonderful Black women. And I will say this too, Mr. Dennis. All of the feedback that was coming, no matter the level that it was, you had a team of folk in real time responding to those issues, those concerns. And rarely do you ever see that. You have to wait 2 business days to get a response from a big corporation. You have folk in real time.
So they can get 10 people in a room to make a decision.
Responding, right? And that's something to be said. And like I said, we have room to hold each other accountable, but we have to also make space to amplify and elevate us when we're doing the good things great, right? And so I thank you for your service to this community. I thank you for having Essence in our city. I thank you for your partnership with us. And these are just growing pains. And one thing Black folk know how to do, they know how to make a whole lot of something out of a little bit of nothing.
That's a
I'm
fact.
telling you right now.
That's a fact.
So we can only go up off from here. We are completely over our time.
Lordy.
But when you have the head intern, you just keep going. Listen, we've had a dynamic conversation with the founder of Essence Ventures, Mr. Richelieu Dennis, talking all things Essence New Orleans and the road ahead, and he has promised to come back. So please, if you were listening and on any platform, put your feedback, good, bad, or indifferent, in the chat, and we'll make certain that we hand that over to the Essence team because they asked for it.
Yeah.
And the only way that we grow is to know where our growth areas are. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here.
And then
go ahead.
Give us that feedback and watch us. Hold us accountable to what we do with it, right? Give us the time and the space, but hold us accountable to what we do with it. And we're going to hold you accountable to supporting us if we give you what you say you need.
That's why he the head intern,
Okay.
y'all.
Okay.
Y'all, listen, it's been a dynamic show. Thank you for engaging in the chat. Thank you for listening. Thank you to Mr. Richelieu Dennis and his entire team. Y'all are phenomenal. And thank you for who you are to the city of New Orleans. And this is the home of Essence, and we want to continue to make Essence home here. This is WBOK 1230 AM. I'm your host, Dr. Ashanta White. My co-host, Will Sutton, and my super producer, Nara Sanders. We're going to see y'all tomorrow.
All day long.
He waited.